A young man wakes up in an unfamiliar room, completely unaware of how he got there or who might have abducted him. As he examines his surroundings, he finds only a shower and a toilet. Desperate, he begins banging on the walls, pleading to be released. Suddenly, he notices a monitor displaying the word share. He starts typing different commands, hoping one might open a door, but nothing works. The computer insists he share again, so he confirms the command. Instantly, a recording begins. The man starts speaking to the camera, asking numerous questions in an attempt to understand his situation, but no one responds. After using the toilet, he discovers it doesn't flush, and the sink doesn't work either. Turning to the computer, he types water, and it replies with =5. Confused, he lies down on the floor to wait. Unexpectedly, he passes gas, and this action earns him some points, enough to get water. After washing his face, he realizes he's part of a broadcast and that real people are watching him. Hoping to gain more attention, he starts farting and dancing absurdly around the room, but it only earns him a few points. He experiments with more commands and manages to turn off the lights, allowing him to sleep on the floor. Sometime later, the computer prompts him to share again. This time, he goes on a frustrated rant about his situation before taking a shower. A few more points trickle in, so he quickly resumes his silly behavior, but ends up falling and hurting himself. His pain seems to attract a slightly faster point increase. Unfortunately, it's still not enough. When he tries to order food, all he receives is a bowl of dog food, delivered through a hidden hatch in the wall. He complains and attempts to return it, but none of his commands work. With no other option, he eats the dog food and even pretends to be a dog, barking and panting for the viewers. His ridiculous performance draws in more viewers and donations, eventually earning him enough points to order some clothes. Still, it isn't quite enough. Eventually, he's sent a set of women's underwear, which he ends up modeling in front of the camera. That night, he curls up on the floor and quietly cries himself to sleep in a state of hopelessness. The next day, he puts all his effort into entertaining the viewers, dancing goofily and blurting out whatever comes to mind. Over time, he earns enough points to purchase a t-shirt and an inflatable mattress. As days go by, the points keep coming in, allowing him to upgrade his situation. He gets more clothing, grooming supplies, a mirror, better food, and even alcohol. Although he was supposed to be a vegetarian, the only food he receives is meat. With no other option, he eats it and ends up enjoying it. The audience loves it, and his points increase. One day, after drinking too much, he tries to smash the monitor with an empty bottle, causing a complete power outage in the room. He attempts different things, like tugging on the monitor through the food hatch, but nothing budges. Frustrated beyond belief, he punches the screen and injures his hand. Consumed by desperation, he throws a fit, screaming, pleading to be let out, and throwing whatever few items he has left. Eventually, exhausted, he begins apologizing quietly. It's only when he starts coughing that the power suddenly returns. To his surprise, the monitor now displays an older man living in a similar room, though much better equipped. The old man explains that occasional glitches are normal, but once someone reaches a certain point level, they gain access to the shared network. That means the young man can now talk to others who are trapped in the same situation. Still, no one knows who their captors are. Like him, they all simply woke up in these rooms with no memory of how or why. Now, the young man finally has someone to talk to, but the older man never seems to stop. He jumps from one topic to another with little coherence. His endless rants, however, earn him plenty of points. While this initially brings some relief, the young man is slowly beginning to get irritated by him. But one day, the young man hears the older man coughing heavily. Worried, he tries to contact him. While experimenting with different commands on the computer, he finally stumbles upon a list of all available channels. To his surprise, there's a variety of content: cooking tutorials, makeup advice, and even a woman doing yoga. She's so stunning that he can't help but watch her for a while. After much trial and error, he manages to establish a direct connection with the older man. It turns out that each person has a channel number. He is number 14, and the older man is 73. From that point on, 14 changes his attitude and becomes friends with 73. They talk regularly, share meals, sing together, and 73 even teaches him a few magic tricks. Sometime later, 14 successfully contacts channel 28, the woman who does yoga late at night while while the other streamers are asleep. Captivated by her calm presence and beauty, he sends her a donation to show his appreciation. The next day, 14 starts upgrading his room with better items, all while keeping in touch with 73. The older man explains that they can't stay stagnant. If they stop evolving, the audience will lose interest and the donations will stop. To survive, they need to keep growing, improving their content, and staying relevant. Taking this advice to heart, 14 begins experimenting with all kinds of new content. Stand-up comedy, workouts, cooking, singing, and performing magic tricks he learned from 73. His audience grows rapidly, and with it, so do his points, allowing him to purchase even more useful props and gear for his streams. Inspired by 28, he starts practicing yoga using her tutorials. He also tries to buy medicine for 73, whose coughing hasn't stopped. But due to a typing error, he accidentally accesses channel 11, a woman who has just arrived and is in the middle of taking a shower. She panics when she sees 14's face appear on her screen and immediately accuses him of being her captor. 14 quickly explains the situation and reassures her. Once she calms down, 11 suggests they should create some kind of cohabitation rules between channels. At that moment, 73 joins the conversation, and 11 asks both of them if anyone has ever tried to escape. In response, 14 shares his story about attacking the monitor and how he was punished for it. Still, 11 insists they should carefully analyze all the information they have to find a weakness in the system. However, 73 snaps at her, calling her condescending and shouting before abruptly leaving the call. Confused and a little hurt, 11 questions why they were chosen in the first place. It seems odd to her that some unknown organization would house and feed random people. 14 opens up, saying he wasn't anyone special in the outside world. And honestly, this new life feels better than what he had before. At least now, he matters to someone. Later on, 14 begins hosting a small puppet show using socks, which greatly amuses 73 and earns him a wave of donations. One day, 14 decides to send 11 a shower curtain as a gift, but instead of appreciating it, she becomes upset. She doesn't want charity. She wants to be self-reliant and free. Over the following days, 14 keeps entertaining his viewers with quirky drawing tutorials. Despite being terrible at art, he turns the segments into comedy sketches, even using himself as the model. These absurd ideas work wonders. He keeps gaining points and makes his room even more comfortable. But 11 becomes increasingly frustrated by all of it. Eventually, she snaps and declares that they should start a revolution. This sparks a heated argument among the three of them, which doesn't end until 73 begins coughing so violently that he can't continue. That night, 73's condition worsens. His coughing becomes uncontrollable, and it leads to a small seizure. He collapses, hitting the monitor. Now too weak to move, he lies helpless. 14 desperately pleads with his audience for help, while 11 tries to access the computer's options, searching for anything useful. But in a moment of panic, she hits the wrong button. Suddenly, 73's room begins to heat up. Within moments, flames erupt from the walls, engulfing everything: his belongings, the room, and 73 himself. Helplessly, 14 and 11 can do nothing but watch in horror as 73 dies a slow, agonizing death. His camera cuts out shortly after. After some time spent in silence, mourning their friend's loss, 14 finally reaches out to 11 again. 14 tells 11 not to blame herself, but she refuses to talk to him. Trying to cheer her up, he performs another puppet show, pretending she announces that she wants to get drunk. Both of them order a lot of alcohol and begin drinking while pretending to dance together. As they drink, they share the last memories they have before being kidnapped. Their dancing becomes more playful, and eventually, they start removing clothing. They realize they're attracted to each other and begin showing more skin, using their hands to reach a moment of pleasure. Afterward, they realize the act hasn't eased their sadness. 14 confesses he can still hear 73's voice in his head. He begins ranting just like 73 used to, and finally agrees with 11's earlier idea. All the bloggers need to unite and search for weaknesses in the system, because 73's death proved that errors do happen. 14 sits in front of the camera and delivers a heartfelt speech. He earns a lot of points but declares he doesn't want them. He explains how much 73 meant to him and pleads with the other bloggers to start searching for any detail that might help them escape. Suddenly, 28 contacts him and says his speech was touching, comparing it to her own philosophical reflections about a person's inner circle, but 11 gets frustrated, saying that what they're doing isn't meant to be symbolic, it's serious. She calls 28 out, who then decides to leave the conversation. Later, 14 and 11 check the other channels and are glad to see some bloggers have joined their mission. One woman even figured out how to make it rain inside her room. That night, as 28th starts her yoga stream, 14th joins her chat. She tells him that 11 is too angry and negative, and that mindset will drive them both crazy. She believes in staying positive and reminds him that his popularity comes from making people smile, something incredibly valuable in today's world. The two begin practicing yoga together, and their stream ends up waking 11 earlier than usual out of annoyance. Sometime later, 14 checks on 11, who's still glued to the other bloggers' channels. Over time, more people join their plan, and some even make exciting discoveries, like controlling the ventilation system or shifting a wall. 11 becomes determined to create a full map of the facility. 14, feeling less enthusiastic, tells 11 that some people are happy in this strange situation, and they shouldn't let anger feed the others. He insists that they should spread positivity, but 11 doesn't take him seriously. In frustration, she decides to cut her hair as a sign of rebellion. Later that night, 28 starts her yoga stream, and an annoyed 11 reminds her that they are supposed to have cohabitation rule. She considers night streams rude because they disturb others' sleep, and an argument breaks out. During the argument, 28 accuses 11 of treating the other bloggers like puppets. 14 tries to mediate and stop the argument, but 11 points out that 28 isn't really his friend. 14 then notices a new blogger entering the room and starts seeing 11's point of view. In a moment of reflection, he starts a stream, asking all the other bloggers to send him just 1 point. This triggers a glitch in the system, causing his points to rise at an astonishing rate. 28, seeing this, accuses him of being toxic and a thief. In her anger, 11 activates the rain function in 28's room, which causes chaos. 28 responds, saying 11 needs to feel the warmth of their light, which, in turn, triggers the heat systems in the walls. Soon, 11 begins to burn down, just like 73 did before her screen shuts off. A devastated 14 falls to his knees, overwhelmed by what's happened. In his grief, a door suddenly opens behind him, giving him a chance to escape. But, just as he rushes toward the exit, he notices that his screen has come back on. Reluctantly, he returns to the camera and tells the other bloggers that this moment proves they can achieve things if they work together. However, before he can finish, the door slams shut. Now 14 is forced to begin performing again. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.